Welcome to another episode of HTML Tutorials for Beginners, a crash course on HTML Basic. I remain your instructor, Vincent Hope. So we'll go through what we have done so far. In lesson 1, we introduced ourselves to HTML. We talked about how to get titles, how to code headings, and how to code content. So if you want to see more on this, you have to refer to the lesson 1 on HTML basics, which the link will be provided below. Then in lesson 2, we treated other links to your web page, to your HTML web page, coding images and adjusting the sizes, other lists, and also adding tables. Now, today we are going to be talking about, in lesson 3, which is for today, how to format tables, which we did in lesson 2, and adding line breaks. So like I said, in lesson 2, we did adding links, image, list, and tables. So if you want to know more about, you have to go and watch the second video of this series, which we'll provide in the links below. So let's come back to our lesson, which is formatting tables and adding line breaks. So when we talk about formatting tables, we have designed the table already in the previous lesson. So let's see where we are. Let's go back to to our browser. Let's go back to our browser. Okay, let me remove this. Let me remove this so that we can follow up properly. Let's remove this. Okay, let me come back to our browser here because we've already started. Now, let me bring down the browser, our browser page. This is our browser page. Now, if we scroll down, let me lift this one up a bit. Okay, let me expand it. Expand. If we scroll down, this is where we stopped. We did list. This is for lists. This is for ordered lists. This is for unordered list. Then we did nested list. So this is where we stopped, and we did some things on tables. So now let's make progress. So now we come back to our Microsoft Word. Now we're talking about formatting tables. Now the first thing we're going to deal with is the attribute of borders. This adds border to the table. Now this is the attribute here, table border equal to 1. Now this is the table. We have table row, table heading, name, table heading age, table heading sex, table heading states. That is for the first row. So let's copy this and place it inside our code editor. So we have highlighted, we right click and click copy. Then we go to our code editor as usual and we paste it below. We click paste here now, so we see the code here. So we save it. When we save it, we now go back to where we can find our browser, HTML browser page. We click here. Now we still put it at lesson 1, but it's containing all the lessons. So I double click here. Now let's scroll down and see what we have achieved. We scroll down now. You see this table here. It just has the headings. Names, age, sex, and state, but it has a border. You see the border. Now let's do something extra. Let's go back to the code. Go back to the code editor, which is in Notepad++. Let me lift it up a bit. Then I copied this same table row here. I copy it. I right click. I click copy. Then I go below and I paste it. Now it still has the same name, age, sex, and date. Remember, this is for table heading, while the next one should be your table data. So I change this table head to TD, which you know already in your previous lesson. You can see it's already shown here. Then I change this name to, let's say, James, and we close the tag with TD2, table data. I also select this as also table data. I'm changing. I change this age to 56. I change this one to table data 2. And I change this to TD2. Then I change the sex to male. And I do this for the closing tag too. Then I open the opening tag here, TD, which is table data. Then the state, I can say Lagos State, for example. Then the table, I have to close that with a TD2. So I save this, Control S. I go back to my browser page where it's located here, and I double click it. Then I scroll down to see what I've done so far. You can see another layer of the table has been added. So if I want to continue the process, I will just continue adding just like we just did just now. Okay, now let's make progress. Let's come back to the Word screen where we are seeing the details of what we are doing. So we come down here. Now we come to the attributes. We have finished with borders, so you know how borders work now. Now let's come to cell padding. Cell padding is a space between the cell edges and the cell content. By default, the padding is set to 0. So now all we need to do, we don't need to change anything much. You can see that this one has table border 1, cell padding 10, while this one only has table border 1. So all we need to do is to copy this and replace it with this. Sorry, copy this and replace it on this, on the code we just finished from the code editor. So I highlight it, then I right click, I click copy, then I go back to the code editor, then look at where we located it. So we're going to copy on this, click highlight it, and click paste so that the one we just copied will be there. So now we have table border 1, cell border, cell padding 10. So we save it, Control S. Then we go back to our browser. We can go back to our browser, any of them. We click this. Let me bring the browser back. I bring it down here. If I click in, because I want to refresh and I press enter, then what I just did will be reflected. So let me expand it. Then I scroll down and see the difference. Now, it didn't show much difference, but we're going to see also. So the cell padding has been added. Now, let's make progress. We will do other forms of cell padding so that you can understand how it works. Now, let's come here. We have done cell padding. Now, let's go back to our text. We'll go back to our text. Now, we'll go to cell spacing. Now, for the cell spacing is the space between each cell. By default, the space is 2 pixels. Now, we watch this one. Now we have table border 1, cell padding 10, and cell spacing 5. Let's copy this, and go and replace it with the one we have before. We click copy, then we go to the code editor, we highlight this and click paste. Now we have the cell spacing added. As we have the cell spacing added, Control S to save. Then we go back to the browser, go back to the HTML page, which is lesson 1, double click it, and let's see the difference. If you scroll down, you can see now, if you watch carefully, you discover that the cell paddings, the cell spacing has increased. Now let's take another number. We had cell spacing of 5. Now let's go back. Now the cell spacing here is 5. Let's increase it to 20 and see what's the difference. We click save, and we'll refresh. We'll press enter. You see now the cell spacing has increased. Let's bring back the code editor. So you see now the cell spacing now is 20. You see the difference. Remember, we said that cell spacing is the space between each cell. Each cell by default is set to 2. So if we come back to the code and come back to our browser, Let's take this one we did. This is the code. Yes, so placing them side by side, you see that this one is 20. Let's make it 10. Bring it back to 10. Press enter. Sorry, bring it back to 10. Let's go back on Control Z. Bring back to 10. Control S to save. Then we check our browser. We browse on our browser or refresh our browser. You can see the space has been reduced between the cells. So that is the effect of the cell spacing. Now let's make progress. We click, we go back. So we have done attribute 1 borders. We have done cell padding. We've also done cell spacing. Now let's make progress. We go down. Now we'll now do call span. This is the next attribute, number 4 attribute of the table is call span. This is used to make a cell span over multiple columns. Make a cell span over multiple columns. Now we're going to copy this completely. Let's look at the code first. We see that table we have introduced something different. A table style with the width of as 10%. Remember there's a column here with the width as 10%. Then border 1, cell padding 0. Then we have table row. We have table heading call span. The column span for name is 2 columns. Take note of that. The column span for name is 2 columns. Then you close it with that's for the heading, close it with a heading tag. We have the headings age. Then the next row, we close that row. The next row, we have table data Jide for this column and Musa. Then we have table data 54. Now we scroll down, we still have another table data here, Kali, Jude 51. Now let's see how this works. So what do? We can copy this, highlight everything here, copy down. Okay, so we are here. Then right click and copy. And we copy, we will go back to the code editor, which is Notepad++. We come down here after this table row. Come down here. This is where the last one stops. So let's paste it here. We put Control V, which is paste. Now it starts from where did we copy it from? Okay. Table style width. Okay, we're starting from here. So look at it here. It starts from this point down here. So press Control S to save. Now let's go back to the HTML page. Click this. This is the lesson 1 we've been using to practice. We double click it. Now let's scroll down and see what happens. You scroll down, you see the difference. Now see the first one we did, which is still there. Now look at the second one. Remember we put the column span on name. Now that means column span means it has spanned multiple columns. Now it has 2 columns. We have the column for Jide and Kali. Then we have for Musa and Jude, but it has 2 columns. While the age has no column span, it takes only 1 column. While the name has 2 columns. So that is how your column span works. That's how it works. So we make progress. Let's click the next we come down. Now we have what? Row span. The row span makes the table row more than 2 or more rows. Now look what's the attribute. Table style. We have the table style which we just put there. Border 1, cell padding 0. Now table heading name, table data James. That row is gone. Now we've done that row. Then the table row span for phone number. Take note of that. Table row span for phone number is 2. That means you have 2 rows on that phone number. Then we have 2 numbers there given. We're given a phone number, this number here. We scroll down. We also take this number also here. Okay, so now let's highlight it. Okay, right click and click copy. We click copy. We come to our code editor. We're going to place it under. We always place it under so that we can see the differences. So this is where this first, the second table terminates. So let's press Ctrl V, which is paste. We press Ctrl V there, and you can see it here. So from here down, you have the code. So anytime you are trying to code yours, you can always pause it, look at the code properly, enter the code, and see how it works. So we can press Ctrl S for save. Then we open our HTML page which we are running, which is the same lesson 1. We double click it, then we scroll down and see the effect. Okay, fine. You see now, this is the first one, this is the second one, this is the third one we just added. You can see. Now you can see under the row span, for the phone number, it has 2 rows. For name, has only 1. Now you can see that the size is very, very large. Now, first, let's focus on this. You can see the row span for phone number is 2. So that is how you use column. Here, the column span for name is 2 columns under. Here, the row span for phone number is 2. I hope that is clear to you. Now, let's reduce the size of this table. Where do we reduce the size? Let's go back to the code editor. We'll go back to the code editor. Remember the width here, we left the width here at 100. So let's reduce it to, let's say, 50%. 50%. You see it's 50% now. So I press Ctrl S, which is to save. Then I go back to my HTML page, double click it, and let's see the results. So we scroll down, you can see it has reduced in size. So you can adjust that width, that table width, table style width to 10, 20, 30, 40, depending on your preference. I hope that is clear to you. So far we have done what are the things we have covered so far. We have done let's go back. We have done table borders, attribute for table borders. We are formatting tables, remember. We have done cell padding. We have done cell spacing. We have done column span. We have also done row span. We've done that. Now, we are going to do the final thing for today, which is for this lesson, which is line break. Now, if you watch carefully, what does line break do? The tag is BR break, used to create line spacing between 2 characters, text, images during display. Now, if you go back to our browser, the browser we did before, you can see they are all packed together. After mangoes, you have the table just immediately. After this table, you have the next table all combined together. This is not a very good display. So what we do, we need to put breaks, put spaces in between them. So that's where the break comes in. So if I copy the code on my code editor, it doesn't have an opening. It just has an opening tag, doesn't have a closing tag. So I put break here. I right click, or you just go and type it, copy. So now let's locate where all the codes are. Let's scroll up. Okay, so let's start from here. After this nested list here, the other table starts here. So I come here, I press enter, I put a break there. See the break? I put a break there, so you need to note it. Then I come here, after this, I put another break. Come down before the next one, I put another break. This time let me put a double break so that we can see the difference. A double break. So I put break in 3 places. A double break here, the second one here. If I scroll up, I put another one on top here. So let's press Ctrl S and see how it works. Come to the browser and now double click the lesson 1. Okay, now let's scroll down and see the difference. Now you see there's a break between this and this. We didn't quite achieve this, so we'll find out what's the issue. Then we also have a break between this and this. Now let's go back to the code editor and see why these two are not separated. So let's click here. Okay, so for the ones on name and age, name and age, you put a break here. Okay, then the table, we have a table here. Let's scroll down and see for the one of 54, 51, which is Kali, which is this. Okay, in between names, age, and sex and state, we put a break. So why is it not visible? Okay, so let me put a double break here and see. I press enter. I Control S to save. Let me see whether it makes any effect. Okay, then go to my browser, double click it, scroll down and see. Okay, we are still having that issue. Okay, it's giving the break in between these two. Okay, it seems that is where we are putting the break. Let's go back to the code editor. Let's remove this one here. Okay, let me go down, scroll down, scroll down, scroll down, scroll down, scroll down. Okay. So I scroll down here. I remove this too. I have one here already. Okay. Let me see if I scroll down more. Do I have any other place I'm supposed to put? No. So I have one. This is the first table. I scroll up again. Second table. Okay. Yes. So third table. Now we have it there. Okay. What is important is that you understand the reason why you put your breaks. So let's remove one of the tables and see. Let's remove this table here that has a border and cell spacing. Let's remove this. Let's remove this. This one. Let's remove this one and press delete and see. Control S to save. Let's go back and double click it. Scroll down. Okay, so you see that you have one space here and one space here. So what is important is for you to understand the reason why you put the breaks, to be able to give line spacing between the give a line spacing, give space, a good spacing between your characters, your display, your images, or whatever you have displayed there. So that is what we have for this lesson. Yes, so we have treated some of the attributes of your borders, of your tables. We have format table, we treated borders, cells padding, cell spacing, col span, and row span. And we also treated line break. So you have the links for lesson 1 under this video, links for lesson 2 under this video. You watch them so that you can have more knowledge of how to work with this. Then if you have any questions concerning what we have just covered, please drop your comments, ask your questions. If there are other areas that you want us to cover, please also drop your comments. We also encourage you to like this channel, subscribe, hit the notification button so you can get more interesting training and teaching videos, and also share this content on your social media handles, Facebook, Twitter, and the rest.